Hi class, this week we are focusing both on argument part 2 and part 2 of the novel. But the primary focus should be argument part 2. You'll be turning in your argument part 2 proposal and updated annotated bibliography, hopefully by Monday, but if you have any trouble with that, let me know. I want you guys to put a lot of thought into what you do for argument part 2. And I just want to go over the prompt for the assignment for those of you who benefit from having someone talk you through it. So you can find it in a couple of places. I'm going to go to modules and I'm going to week 7. We're pretty close to the end of the semester. And a copy of the prompt is located under week 6, 7, and 8. It's also under assignments. So it should be showing up in quite a few places for you. And here we go. So the final draft for argument part 2 is going to be worth 250 points. And the reason for that is because a huge part of the assignment is making revisions to the original essay, making it grow and developing it further. So, the final draft for argument part 2 is due April 22nd. Let's take a look at the prompt. So, argument part 1, I was looking for an essay that had at least 6 paragraphs total. One of those paragraphs had to include your counter argument. Argument part 2 could be taking on a slightly different format. And I'd like to show you the word count, 1,750 words. I'm not saying you should scrap argument part 1 completely and write a fresh new essay. Rather, you're going to take your 1,000-word essay and add 750 words to it throughout the full document. So this is going to be a 6 to 8 page essay total. And for an essay that is 6+ pages, you're going to need more than 6 paragraphs. So look to add content to each of your paragraphs in the essay and add on an additional paragraph or 2, maybe more. You might also consider taking some of your body paragraphs and after you develop them further, breaking those paragraphs into 2, furthering your argumentative analysis a little bit further, breaking down your subtopics even further within those body paragraphs. There are 2 stipulations for argument part 2. The first one, that you completed argument part 1, because without a part 1, there cannot be a part 2. So at this point, everyone should have had their essays graded and returned back to them with feedback. Be sure that you take a look at that feedback. I have comments in the comment boxes, and I also made comments on the document. And to see that, you need to click the View Feedback button. If anyone's having trouble finding that, there's a video on the front page of the website that you can look at that shows you how to do that, and you're also welcome to send me an email if it's still not showing up for you. The other requirement for this essay is that you complete the proposal worksheet with the annotated bibliography. Make sure that you get this in to me. If you're having trouble, let me know. It's worth 50 points. That's 5% of your total grade, so there's another reason for you to get it in. Also, it's meant to give me an idea of where you are at the revision process, what you're thinking to do with part 1 to make it bigger. So if you need some type of intervention or a little extra help, this is a good time for me to put in my 2 cents. So the essay as a whole should have revisions made to it. Remember, you are growing your arguments, you are taking another approach to it. So your thesis statement is going to have to change in some way. Maybe your thesis before was already pretty strong, but remember, if you're making your essay longer, if you're developing it further, you're still going to have to go back to that thesis and make some type of change to it. The overall organization is going to change in some way. Maybe that's within the paragraphs. Maybe you move the paragraphs around. Maybe you take the counter argument and instead of having it in its own paragraph, you put pieces of that counter into all of your body paragraphs. The content and research, these are tied together. You have to do additional research for this essay. You have to have at least 2 additional scholarly sources that came from the library, that come from a journal, that come from an organization like the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association. They should not be from biased sources or special interest groups. So because you're adding research, your content itself is going to grow, and it should grow throughout the entire essay. And then your introduction should change because the content leading up to your thesis is going to need tweaking. And your conclusion should change because your closing argument has to grow in response to the growth of the essay's body. So, right now you're working on the proposal worksheet. Next, we are going to have a peer review and revision clinic. You've already collaborated with your peers and bounced ideas off of each other. The revision clinic and peer review, those are for you guys to help each other continue working on putting argument part 2 together and finishing it up before you submit it to me. You do not have a rough draft that you are going to be sending to me this time, at least not for points. But what you can do is, if you want me to take a look at the essay after you've made some changes to it, you can send it to me up to 2 times. And the cutoff for that is April 17th. You can send it to me up to 2 times between now and April 17th if you want my feedback. Otherwise, you can also meet with me during office hours. So if you want to come visit me every Wednesday between now and then and send it to me 2 times, you can definitely do that. So, now that we've taken a look at the attached prompt, I want to go over a couple points on the rubric. Most of you guys know this stuff. The 50% rule, if you turned in a complete essay for part 1, you have already met this requirement, so you're good. Gradable, make sure it's MLA format, use a template in Word or Google Docs, and make sure that you have a works cited page. Make sure you've proofread it. Make sure it's complete and on time. Okay. And here on the rubric, I have notes that detail what I'm, or that reiterate the significance of making revisions. So, for example, if on the introduction and conclusion, if you haven't made significant revisions in that regard, if you just gave me the exact same introduction and conclusion, the best you could hope for would be 8 points in this section. The thesis, if you have not made any changes to your thesis, or maybe you just changed a single word, 8 points. Now, if you make changes to, say, the thesis, and it's doesn't quite hit the exemplary mark, don't panic. They're still completed and clear, but make sure that you have made some type of revision. Content and application, organization, be sure to review those requirements, formatting and source use. If I noted significant grammar issues, problems with point of view, clarity, etc. on the original, make sure that you take care of those. If you need to, go sit with a tutor and work through some of those issues. And keep in mind, if you meet with a tutor, there is extra credit. Additional sources. I want to see 5 scholarly resources. Make sure that you get the resources from the library. And then significant revisions. And I will say, if you've made a revision to each paragraph in the essay and it's clear, it's more than just maybe changing the spelling of a couple of words, but you've added sentences, you've cut out material that didn't work before, you can get 25 points here. Keep in mind, these revisions have to be clear from the introduction all the way through to the conclusion. So if you've done that, you've got 25 points, 10% of the essay taken care of. So I encourage each of you to go through the rubric, take a look at the prompt. If you have any questions, let me know. And I look forward to working with you guys over the next couple of weeks on these essays.